Tarot FAQ. Tarot reading breakdown. I've been feeling a lot of questions around tarot readings and how I have gotten some of the messages, so I am going to take a reading I posted recently and break it down and explain how I read it and why I interpreted it the way I did. I'll play the original reading first and then break it down. You've been feeling scattered and jumbled, and while you know there is a plan for you, you can't see the whole picture and are only getting small pieces at a time. You are passionate about something or someone, and at times you have felt like you were being foolish to pursue your dreams, but don't give up, because what you are creating is going to be wildly successful. There is someone around you that is daydreaming about being with you. They may be a boss or a business owner. There has been some type of challenge or possibly competition that has gotten in the middle of you, and they are hoping to have a new start. They may think they aren't good enough for you and that you are above them in some way, but you are a perfect match, and it's only in their mind. You have both been used to being independent and on your own, and you are afraid of feeling stuck or bound to something, but your perspective of relationships and connection may be a little outdated and backwards, and you are being asked to embrace your differences and see that you complement each other like yin and yang. For this reading, I used tarot tiles instead of tarot cards. Normally, I shuffle the deck and then take the cards off the top one by one, but with the tiles, I have to just take a handful and then go through them. It's not as organized, and some of them are upside down, and some are face up. Everything is important during a reading, even external events like phones ringing or lights flashing. So for this reading, I interpreted it as you feeling scattered and unorganized, and knowing that I would get through the reading eventually, but had to take it tile by tile. Another part of this interpretation is that my camera kept going in and out of focus, so I interpreted it as not being able to see the whole picture. I also couldn't wait to interpret it until I had all the tiles straightened out. I just didn't know where it was going to go. The first tile I laid out was the Queen of Wands. Wands is the fire sign and represents passions and creativity. The Queen of Wands is the most advanced feminine version of this, and she is passionate and often described as highly attractive. I frequently see her as a lover rather than an entrepreneur like the King of Wands, so her passions are typically towards a person. Although the energy I was feeling, there was some passion that wasn't directed at a person, so that is how I interpreted it. The second tile was the Fool, and while normally this represents a new beginning and taking a leap of faith, I interpreted it quite literally as a feeling of being foolish in taking that leap of faith and going after your dreams. The third tile is the Empress, and the Emperor and Empress are the most powerful people in the deck, and they didn't get there by giving up on themselves. So my interpretation was to not give up on your dreams, because it will be a huge success. The next tile is the King of Wands, and looking at the tile, he looks like he is daydreaming about something, and the lion next to him is taking a nap. 85% of my viewers identify as female, and so I typically assume the feminine energy is you, the viewer, and the other energies are people in your life. So the King of Wands I interpreted as someone else in your life, and the King of Wands is usually described as an entrepreneur or in leadership, and like the Queen of Wands, they are passionate and highly attractive. The next tile is the Five of Wands, which is usually described as a competition or a challenge, the type of competition that you have when you play a game or a sport. In the original tarot deck, the figures look almost like they are wearing jerseys. The interpretation was that there has been a challenge between the King and Queen of Wands. In a reading where the cards or tiles are laid out together, a position of the cards matters, and while the King of Wands does appear to be daydreaming, he is looking back at the challenge, as if he is stuck in his head about the challenges of this connection. Or maybe someone got in between you and was competition. The next tile is the Ace of Pentacles. Aces are beginnings, and pentacles are earth energy, which is material or worldly pursuits. This includes career and home life. Since I interpreted the Five of Wands as a challenge that got in between the King and Queen of Wands, on the other side of that challenge is a new beginning, and I continued the idea that it was something the King was daydreaming about. The interpretations so far have begun with a person, and the other tiles in that row were about that person. The Queen in this layout appears above the King. Again, the position of the cards or tiles matters. This led me to interpret that the King is not feeling worthy of the Queen, and puts the Queen on a pedestal. But no matter the insecurity, the King and Queen of most the suits are perfectly compatible with each other. I frequently do 9 card spreads for myself, and I usually see the top row as warts in my mind, the middle row as the physical world or the body, and the bottom row as my spirituality or the soul. And while right now there is only 2 rows showing in the original reading, by the time we got to this point in the interpretation, all 9 tiles had been laid out. So I went with my typical interpretation of a 9-card spread. And that meant the top row was the mind, leading me to interpret that the King's insecurities of not feeling good enough for the Queen was all in their mind. The next tile is the 9 of Pentacles, which is a card of being self-sufficient and independent. I interpreted this as both the King and Queen are independent, because they are both in the same column of this spread. The next tile is the 8 of Swords. Swords are air energy, and are often interpreted as our thoughts, so this to me felt like a thought or a fear. The 8 of Swords is a card of victimhood, feeling stuck or trapped. The figure is trying to navigate its way through a field of swords, while blindfolded and bound. This led me to interpret it as being afraid of being stuck in a situation. The last tile is the 2 of Cups. Water represents emotions, and the 2 of Cups is often seen as a new romantic connection or partnership. I frequently see this as a relationship that is in that blissful honeymoon stage, since 2 is the next card after the aces, which are new beginnings. In a 9-card spread, I see the rows as mind, body, soul. I see the columns as past, present, and future. And for some reason that I can't explain, I started from the right to left, which is backwards for how I would normally lay out a tarot spread. And since the 2 of Cups is in the past position, this led me to interpret that maybe your idea of what a relationship is backwards and outdated or in the past. This version of the 2 of Cups has a yin and yang symbol in the shape of a heart, which led to the interpretation that you are different but complementary. Another part of my readings are the songs that play in the background, and I feel questions about how I determine which songs to play. Most of the time, the lyrics pop into my mind as I am doing the interpretation. Sorta like how sometimes people will say a phrase and you will instantly think of a song. Or I will get a song stuck in my head, and then when I do a reading, I realize why. A couple of times I have heard a new to me song that grabs my attention, and then the next day or so I'll do a reading and realize why I heard about that song. Sometimes I will get a song stuck in my head that I know is for a reading, and I won't be able to do anything else until I make that reading. I've even had them wake me up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep until I make the reading. When it doesn't come to me like that, I have to go looking for the right song, and I will use many sources to find it. I often turn to Google, or even other AI tools like ChatGPT. Sometimes I just start looking through my own music library until I find the right one. I am frequently hindered by copyright for some of the songs, and have to find alternatives because the song that really came to mind is not available to play, or I have to repeat a small section of the song throughout the reading. I hope this helped answer some of your questions about tarot and how I approach readings. Remember, tarot is all about guidance, insight, and connecting with the energies around you. If you have any specific questions you'd like me to answer, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to explore the cards with you soon.